Hello, my name is Warren E. Freeman Jr. This is episode 75, and this is going to be, I'm going to cover two events at once. I have this thing that I'm doing this year where I cover a WrestleMania, but before I cover that WrestleMania, I cover that year's Royal Rumble. I did it with Royal Rumble 2001 and WrestleMania 17, but with this video, I'm actually going to do two events in one. So I'm going to do the Royal Rumble 2009. I'm going to briefly reference No Way Out 2009. I'm not going to do a full synopsis on No Way Out 2009. Then I'm going to review WrestleMania 25. Alright, so let's get started. Royal Rumble 09. This was an okay event. We had Swagger defending the ECW title against Matt Hardy. The title itself was pretty much meaningless at this point. It would be dead in a year with Christian Ezekiel Jackson being their last champion, defeating Christian. This was a basic match. I mean, both are good workers, but this match was just kind of there. Gave it a 2.5. Melina versus Beth Phoenix. This is the match where Beth Phoenix made Melina kick herself in the head. And, I mean, damn. That's the only memorable moment in this match, to be honest with you. I gave that a 2.7. Swagger retained against Hardy for the ECW title, retaining this title. Melina would actually win the match with Beth Phoenix after kicking her, making Beth. You had to watch it. It was amazing. And we all knew Melina was flexible just with her entrance alone. But seeing Beth Phoenix literally make Melina kick herself in the back of the head is ridiculous. Kind of reminds me of that Mortal Kombat fatality where Quan Chi takes your leg off and beats you over the head with it. It's as ridiculous as that. Now, that got a 2.7. Swagger and Matt Hardy got a 2.5. There's only 5 matches on this card, which is why it's like, I mean, I could really cover this event in 5 minutes. So, we got Cena versus JBL. Well, when you tell the story for each main event match, it may take longer than 5 minutes. But essentially, it's not going to take long to review Royal Rumble 2009. Cena versus JBL. In order for me to talk about this match, I got to talk about who accompanied JBL to ringside, which is Shawn Michaels. This event took place in January 2009, but like towards the end of 2008, the economy, for real, took a bad turn. This is when Obama had just got elected. So he was trying to basically fix what George Bush had done. I'm not going to get too much into politics, but basically the economy was in the shits around this time. So the WWE decided to create a storyline that's based on reality. So somehow Shawn Michaels became broke. It was never explained how he became broke, but he just did. This little rivalry between Shawn Michaels and JBL started at Survivor Series in 2008. Where Michael's team was successful against JBL's team. I do believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm positive Shawn Michaels' team won that match. So that's kind of where this started. It actually started before that, where Shawn Michaels was wrestling Chris Jericho in the last man standing match, and JBL hit him with a chair to help Jericho win. So they had the little feud at Survivor Series. Then between Survivor Series and Armageddon, somehow Shawn Michaels became broke. Like I said, it's never explained how Shawn Michaels became broke, but he was just broke. So he had to work for JBL, and that was a segment that aired at Armageddon that, you know, Shawn Michaels was JBL's employee. It's never really explained what Michaels had to do for JBL while under employment, but all that we really saw was just Shawn Michaels accompanying JBL to the ring for his matches. Now, for the build-up for this match, it was a Fatal 4-Way match on Raw, elimination match, Fatal 4-Way, Shawn, Michaels, JBL, Randy Orton, and Chris Jericho. Michaels would eliminate Randy Orton and Chris Jericho when it came down to him and JBL. Since Michaels was employed under JBL, one of his orders was to lay down for JBL. And if you remember, Shawn Michaels lays down for absolutely nobody. In my Shawn Michaels voice. And although I don't like how this match ended, I like how they still protected Shawn. Because Shawn didn't lay down for JBL. He actually got on the mat. He was acting like he was going to lay down. And he popped back up and said no. And Michaels just put his arms out. And Michaels said, do it. do it! And JBL hit a vicious clothesline and pinned him for the 1-2-3. So that was a perfect way to protect Shawn Michaels by not having him flat out lay down. And JBL became #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at the Royal Rumble. Randy Orton and Chris Jericho tried to dispute this, but to no avail. Stephanie McMahon was the GM at the time, and she wouldn't hear any of it because Michaels didn't lay down. He was still hit with the clothesline from hell and got pinned. So, as I said, Y2J, Mike, and Randy Orton tried to dispute it, but they were just thrown into the Royal Rumble match, which I'll get to later. So this match was just kind of here. There was a backstage segment before this match that showed JBL and Michaels backstage. JBL saying there's no need to be conflicted. All you need to do is do the right thing. That's it. If you do the right thing, you'll keep your job. So JBL leaves out the locker room. Undertaker comes in for no random reason and says, "Sometimes it's hell trying to get to heaven." And Michaels just kind of stares at him and walks away. You hear JBL in the background saying, "Come on, Shawn, let's go." So Shawn Michaels is in JBL's corner. Also, what I forgot to mention in that backstage segment was that JBL said that if you do the right thing and you help me win the World Heavyweight Championship, you'll be allowed to compete in the Royal Rumble match. Now, prior to that, JBL said on Raw that Michaels' only function at the Royal Rumble was to be in my corner. So that got convoluted for some reason. Or maybe JBL just said that to give Michaels incentive to help him win the world title. Which that would not happen. The referee would get taken out in the middle of the match. To fake out John Cena, Shawn Michaels would super kick JBL first. To make it seem like Michaels had turned on JBL. But really it was to get Cena off guard. Because then Michaels would super kick Cena, and Michaels would go as far as to place JBL's shoulder or arm over John Cena's prone body. Michaels would get the referee woken back up again. And it would get a 2 count, and then Cena would overcome, the same John Cena stick that he always does, and Cena would end up winning the match and retaining the title. That Michaels JBL program will continue in the No Way Out, where if Michaels won, he would be free from JBL's employment, and JBL would pay him every dime that he's owed, and he would be debt free. Michaels would win, and then that would lead to Michaels facing Undertaker at WrestleMania. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. We're still at the Royal Rumble. Edge versus Jeff Hardy for the WWE Championship was next. I gave Cena and JBL a 3. Then we go to Edge versus Jeff Hardy, no disqualification match for the WWE title. Jeff Hardy defending his newly won title that he won at Armageddon 2008, the month prior. Since Jeff won the title, a lot of mysterious things started happening to him. He would get ran off the road. His house would get burned down. He would lose his dog, Jack. That actually happened for real. And then on one of the SmackDowns leading to the Royal Rumble, there would be a pyro accident where Jeff Hardy would do his typical pyro dance where the pyro would explode. But instead of going off this way, the pyro came this way and just caused an explosion to Jeff Hardy's face and torso. As far as, it will be revealed the person that did all these heinous things. It will be revealed to be Matt Hardy later. But even though Matt Hardy would attack Jeff Hardy during this match, causing him the WWE Championship, it still wasn't revealed that it was Matt Hardy behind all that other shit until their lead to WrestleMania, which I'll get to when I talk about WrestleMania. I kind of just killed the finish for that match, but there was a spot where Jeff Hardy did a splash on Chavo where the ladder almost came out underneath him. That was scary. Other than that, the match was just kind of there. Jeff Hardy would have Matt beat where he would set up a concerto spot. Matt Hardy would give him the other chair, and instead of doing the concerto, he would hit Jeff in the skull. Edge would cover Jeff Hardy to win the WWE Championship. And, this was crazy because, Edge and Matt were bitter rivals, for real, outside the WWE. But even on camera, they were still kind of arch nemesis, nemesis. Anyway, they were enemies, and Matt Hardy was basically handing his enemy Edge the WWE Championship. And that would lead to their match at WrestleMania 25, which I'll get to when I talk about WrestleMania 25. And then the Rumble match was just a regular Rumble match. Nothing memorable happened at all. Santino broke the Warlord's record, and that was about it. The final four was Randy Orton and Legacy, Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton and Triple H. Legacy would get eliminated by Triple H, and then right after that, Randy Orton would eliminate Triple H to win the Rumble. Now, my problem that I had with this entire event was, you know how they have like the Rumble package at the beginning where they show all the superstars that are going to be in the Rumble? They highlight Randy Orton in particular in this video package, like showing him how he punted Vince McMahon in the head on the go home Raw to the Rumble, and they just really do this job of like highlighting Randy Orton in particular as one of the Rumble participants. That's how you knew Randy Orton was going to win the title. It was like one of the most predictable. It was one of the most predictable Rumble matches where you knew who the winner was going to be. Another one is Cena from 2013. But that's the only one I can think of right off the bat. But yeah, this was weird. And I just hated how that video package highlighted Orton so much. And of course Orton would win the Rumble because he was highlighted. And also, it made you want to watch Raw the next night because you were wondering what the fallout was going to be for Randy Orton injuring Vince McMahon. But then he wins the Rumble, so like, what is Stephanie going to do? Is he going to fire him? He can't do that because he's the Royal Rumble winner. So it created a lot of buzz, and it made you want to watch Raw. It made me want to watch Raw the next night, which I was going to watch Raw anyway because I'm a fan. That's just the bottom line. All right, so Rumble match. Like I said, Swagger versus Matt Hardy for the ECW title, 2.5. Melina versus Beth Phoenix, 2.7. Cena, JBL, Edge versus Jeff, Rumble match itself. They all got 3s, which gives me an average of 2.84 for the Royal Rumble 2009. And that's basically the Royal Rumble. I got that done in 12 minutes. So we go to WrestleMania 25. This was disappointing. To say that this was a one-match show would do a disservice to the Money in the Bank match and to Matt and Jeff's match. And the Jericho versus Legends match was better than it was supposed to be, but that's because of Ricky Steamboat. But I'll get to that later. We kick off with the Money in the Bank match, which we have CM Punk, Christian, Finlay, Kane, Kofi, Mark Henry, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin. One of the spots that I found funny in this match, apparently Hornswoggle did, or Punk did too, was when Hornswoggle did a tadpole splash onto everybody. And this is when the spot in the match where like MVP did a senton out to the ring, and then somebody else jumped on somebody. Then Shelton Benjamin did a swanton off the ladder onto everybody, and then Hornswoggle did a frog splash. And you could see Punk laughing at the ludicrosity of this, where you could see Hornswoggle cover Punk's mouth to not show him from laughing. Because that tadpole splash was funny as shit. And I probably would have laughed too if I was in that match. Other than Benjamin almost killing himself because he came short with that swanton, the match was basically a spot fest. And I think after watching WrestleMania 17 and like TLC 3 and 2 and SummerSlam 2000, and I'm speaking for me personally, I think that I was spoiled with all these crazy-ass ladder matches from the early 2000s, that the ladder matches I see now, today, are kind of tame in comparison. And, you know, this match was great. I'm not saying this match was bad at all. I gave it a 3.2. It came down to Punk and Kane in a final encounter on the ladder where Punk kind of kicked Kane off the ladder and grabbed a briefcase. That would lead to a pointless match at Backlash between the two, just because those were the last two on the ladder. But Punk wins Money in the Bank for the second year in a row. He won it last year at WrestleMania 24. This year he won Money in the Bank. He would go on to cash in on Jeff Hardy turning heel. Not quite turning heel, but planting the seeds for his heel turn. He would cash in on Jeff Hardy. They would feud over the belt that summer, and then yeah, that's pretty much it with that. Punk would job out the title to Taker, and then that was the end of Punk's title reigns in 2009. Um, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal. Oh, I gave that a 3.2. The Money in the Bank match. The Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, I gave that a 1. This was just sad. It got overshadowed by the Kid Rock concert, which lasted too long, which I didn't really have a problem with because I'm a fan of Kid Rock. I'm glad he went into the Hall of Fame this year. Kudos to him. But in the middle of the Kid Rock concert, you had these girls who are divas that made their entrance while grinding the Kid Rock to this So Hot song, which was one of the themes for WrestleMania that year. And there were no proper introductions at all. It was just bitches walking past Kid Rock, grinding their ass on Kid Rock. That was it. Like, people were promoted to come back, like Molly Holly and Victoria and Tori Wilson and all these legends, or not legends, but former divas were promoted to return, and they weren't given proper introductions. They weren't given shit. They were just walking out to Kid Rock's So Hot song, and then once the Kid Rock concert ended, we just saw a bunch of mess. Women in the ring just doing this and kicks, and women jumping over the top rope and going through the rope, but that was it. And then the icing on the fucking cake, or the icing, yeah, the icing on the cake, the match is not even won by a woman. It's won by a man in drag. A man in drag. Santina Marella won the match. Fuck, man. And then, everyone wants to talk about this women's revolution and the women have come a long way from bra and panty matches and pillow fights. But what do you do last year in Money in the Bank? You have a fucking man win the first ever women's Money in the Bank match. So, with all this progress you've had with the women's revolution, with the Hell in a Cell, the first ever women's Hell in a Cell, the first time the women main evented a pay-per-view, you have all this progress with the women, and then you take like 8 steps back by having fucking James Ellsworth win the Money in the Bank match. And I don't care that James Ellsworth climbed the ladder and threw the briefcase down to Carmella. I don't care. Fucking a man won the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And I don't care that they stripped Carmella of the damn thing and then had a rematch on SmackDown, which damn James Ellsworth was supposed to be banned from the damn match, but he got involved anyway, and Carmella still won. It just, like I said, the only reason why I'm going on a tangent about Carmella is because they did the same thing. And in this battle royal, that's essentially was the same thing that happened, except it was a man in drag. So, 1. You bitches get a 1 for that match. Alright, now that I'm done ranting about that, compress, calm down more. Okay, we go to Jericho versus the Legends. Jericho went through this weird phase in 2009 where he just wanted to beat up old people. I don't know where it came from, but that's just how it was. It started off with a rivalry between Jericho and Mickey Rourke, of all people, because Mickey Rourke had just did this movie called, was it The Wrestler? Yeah, it was The Wrestler. I've never seen the movie, but apparently it's about Mickey Rourke playing a wrestler and the trials and tribulations you go through as a wrestler. Apparently it's supposed to be like a tearjerker, it's supposed to be a really good movie. I've not seen such a movie. Mickey Rourke said on CNN said on some sort of media news outlet that if there's one person he actually wanted to wrestle to be Chris Jericho and he'd kick his ass. Jericho went after Mickey Rourke, blasting him on CNN saying, you play a wrestler, bitch, I am a wrestler. He ain't said bitch, I'm just adding that in there. Mickey Rourke ended up backing down, That somehow turned into Jericho beating up old people. So he beat up Ricky Steamboat, he beat up Roddy Piper, and he beat up Jimmy Snuka. And then he said, you know what, I'm going to challenge all three of these legends to a 3-on-1 handicap match at WrestleMania. And that's exactly what happened. We had the match. That became a 3-on-1 elimination match at WrestleMania. I don't know when the elimination part got thrown in there. Oh, Jericho also beat up Jerry Lawler and Ric Flair, who bladed. And at this time, blading was illegal or outlawed. But it's Ric fucking Flair. Who's going to punish Flair? What are you going to do to him? So he beat up Lawler, Piper, Snuka, all these old legends, right? So Lawler, understandably, is not being not what's the word I'm looking for? Fair, unbiased, on commentary. Jericho's obvious, or Lawler's obviously in the Legends corner as far as on commentary. He's not being, in the middle, which is understandable because Lawler got his ass kicked by Jericho too. So anyway, it's a 3-on-1 Legends handicap match. I don't think there's any tags in this match, if I remember correctly. It's kind of like that old thing where you see where you try to jump somebody, but you don't jump them. One person fights them at a time and gets knocked out, and then the other person fights them and get knocked out, and then the other person fights them and get knocked out. That's essentially what happened. We start off with Roddy Piper versus Jericho, in that match. Piper threw a drop kick, and I lost my shit. And I think everyone else did too. I think Lawler said, or Raw said, that I don't think Piper's thrown a dropkick since WrestleMania 1. And it was an old man dropkick, and it was fucking awesome just because it's Roddy Piper. Jericho would eliminate Piper with a running enziguri, so he would get taken out. Then Snuka would get his shit in with the chops and stuff. And I wanted to see Snuka come off with the Superfly splash, but he didn't. I was upset. Instead, Snuka tapped out to Jericho in the walls of Jericho. And then Ricky's the fucking Dragon Steamboat. Oh my god. In his upper 50s, showed his ass. Showed his ass against Jericho. Doing a cross body, doing a springboard plunger to the outside of the ring. All type of shit. And then Jericho would, Jericho put him over. I mean, Jericho won. But that's a good example of putting somebody over and still beating them. Man, but I don't even think Jericho needed Steamboat to get up. I don't think Steamboat needed Jericho to get over. Steamboat was just fucking over. He showed his ass. I can't describe it no other way. Jericho won with the Codeberg, but then the next night on Raw, in the 8-man tag, Steamboat again would just show his ass. I mean, doing cross bodies and springboard plunges and shit. I think it was an 8-man tag or something like that. Steamboat. Damn. I mean, for me, Steamboat got performance of the night. Aside from Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, Steamboat got performance of the night just for his age and him being able to do all the shit that he did in that match. Awesome, awesome match. I bumped it up a little bit simply just because of Steamboat's performance. I was going to give it like a 3, but I gave it a 3.3 simply because of Steamboat's performance in that match. Awesome match. 3.5. Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy. I gave that a 3.5. This was everything that you expected it to be. It was a no disqualification match, which was the match that Orton and Triple H should have had later on in the night, but I'll bitch about that when I get to it. It was everything you expected it to be. They used tables, they used ladders, they used chairs, because that's what the Hardys do. It was a nice sandwich table spot where Matt Hardy was laying on one table. Jeff Hardy stacked one table on top of the other and then did a body splash through the table and through Matt and through the other table. So it was like a sandwich table spot. That was nice. Jeff Hardy did a whisper in the wind and Matt countered it with a steel chair. The announcers really played up the fact of how well each brother knows the other brother, especially when that spot happened. The usage of ladders were okay. I don't want to say they overused the ladders, but I will say that the ladder itself, as a gimmick, was kind of overused a tad bit, considering we had just seen a Money in the Bank match prior to this, like 3 or 4 matches prior to this. But for what they did with the ladders, it was okay. Jeff did this weird leg drop where he jumps over one ladder, jumps off of one ladder over another ladder onto his opponent, except he missed. And how he didn't break his ass or his tailbone with that is unbelievable to me. So after that spot happened, Matt Hardy put a chair around his neck. Or no, Matt Hardy put his head inside of a steel chair and delivered the twist of fate. And that was sick as shit. The sell for Jeff Hardy was great. The setup was great. The sequence was great. Hit the twist of fate with Jeff's face, crashing into the chair in the seated position. It's kind of hard to describe, but yeah, he did the twist of fate. Matt Hardy won. I gave it a 3.5. It didn't drop below my expectations, but it didn't exceed it. It just was right where I thought it was going to be. Gave it a 3.5. We move on to Rey Mysterio versus JBL for the Intercontinental title. JBL, the defending champion, after defeating CM Punk in a random episode of Raw leading up to WrestleMania, which my thought process for that, or maybe their thought process, was let's just get the Intercontinental title off of CM Punk since we're going to have him win the Money in the Bank. JBL walked into WrestleMania as champion, cut this promo about East Texas son returning home as a champion. And that was the whole bit of JBL and Shawn Michaels thing. JBL wanted Michaels to get him to WrestleMania as world champion. That was not accomplished. However, he did go to WrestleMania as the Intercontinental champion. He would lose to Rey Mysterio in like 20 seconds. JBL would hit like a boot, like a big boot on Mysterio, like before the bell rang. Then the bell rang. JBL would do his, or Rey Mysterio would do his shit. 619. Not the West Coast pop, but like the springboard splash or whatever. Would pin JBL for the Intercontinental title. And the fact that the Intercontinental title had not been on the line since WrestleMania 18, which is the next show I'm going to review. And then you have the Intercontinental title on the line here at this show, and it's a 27-second match. It's ridiculous. Now, the story I've heard for this is the reason why for this was because JBL was hurt and needed time off, which he would take time off. He would kayfabe quit after this match. The only good thing to come out of this match is Rey Mysterio's matches with the Intercontinental title later on that year. He would have an amazing feud with Jericho, a good match with Dolph at SummerSlam. And like I said, that would be like the only good thing that would come out of this title reign with Rey Mysterio, with the matches he would have later on that year for them. Alright, so then we go to the best match of the card, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. And yes, I gave this match a 5. Fight me. Fight me. I don't give a fuck. This match got a 5. There is nothing that I can say about this match. I mean, it just... basically, the story was simple. It was about the streak, but it was about a little bit more than that. It was just the lightness versus the darkness. That was it. Michaels ascended from the heavens, dressed in all white, with a spotlight shining on him, and Undertaker ascended from hell, dressed in all black, because that's what he wears anyway. But yeah, the lightness versus the darkness, good versus evil, even though both men were face. It's simple. Undertaker even said in an interview about that match that whether you were a wrestling fan or not, if you had never watched wrestling in your life, or if you were a casual fan, you understood what happened in that match. It was just simple. The only botch in the match, which is why it's controversial that I'm giving it a 5, was because Taker went for a dive. Jimmy Snuka, who was the cameraman, was supposed to catch him, and he dropped him. But even with that, they still worked around it because Michaels was desperate to get the streak. He was telling the referee, count him out. And Taker made it in the ring before 9. before the 10 count. He made it a ring at 9. They would swap finishers back and forth. The best part of the match was the first tombstone that Taker hit on Michaels, and Michaels kicked out. And the expression on Taker's face was priceless. It was an expression that you had never seen The Undertaker make before. Like, when Michaels kicked out of that tombstone, it was 1, 2, and then Michaels got the shoulder up. Taker was like, damn. The expression, you could have wrote so many captions for that moment. Like, when is this motherfucker gonna give up? Or, fuck, I'm getting too old for this shit. It's so many things you could have write. It just, I can't duplicate it. You just have to see it. As a matter of fact, if I could find that clip of, Taker's expression, that's gonna be my title video, or my title picture for this video, because it's great. Super kick, Taker would kick out. The match would end where Michaels would go for a moonsault. Taker would catch him and drop him with the tombstone, and that's how the match ended. It's funny because even when I go back and watch this show, I don't even want to watch the rest of the show because there's just no following this match. And the people that were Vince McMahon or whoever put this show together, they had to know. They had to know that there was just no following Taker and Shawn. There wasn't. There were only 2 matches left after this. It was Cena versus Big Show versus Edge for the world title. Edge was the defending champion. I'll give you a quick background on that. Edge was the defending champion coming into this event, the world heavyweight champion. At No Way Out, he was the WWE champion, but he lost that in the Elimination Chamber at the first match of the night. Later on in the night, the Raw had the world title Elimination Chamber match, and Edge would take out Kofi Kingston to take his place in the Chamber match, and then he would win, last eliminating Rey Mysterio to win the world heavyweight title. So he would carry the world title into WrestleMania. The original match at WrestleMania was supposed to be Edge versus the Big Show. And of course, the World Heavyweight Championship wasn't the focus, because why would it be? Because it's the fucking belt. Anyway, the focus was Vickie Guerrero. Edge was in a relationship with Vickie Guerrero at the time, but Vickie Guerrero would cheat on Big Show, which is just disgusting. So Vickie is cheating on Edge with the Big Show. Edge gets mad, but it's already basically well known, I guess, other than to Vickie, that Edge is using Vickie to advance himself in the company. So we got Edge versus Big Show. Big Show is the adulterous giant, getting involved with Vickie Guerrero while she's with Edge. But Edge doesn't care about Vickie in the first place because Edge is just using Vickie because Vickie's the general manager to advance himself in the company. So who the fuck are we supposed to cheer for? Edge or the Big Show? I know who we're supposed to cheer for. Let's cheer for John Cena, because why the fuck not? The only reason why John Cena had any legitimate claim to be in this match in the first place was because John Cena was the defending world champion at No Way Out, and he lost the belt. That's it. Other than that, there was no reason for Cena to be in this match. Or, you know what? I misspoke. John Cena lost to the Big Show. And that was, had Cena beaten the Big Show, he would have been in the match. But the way they got out of that was they had John Cena blackmail Vickie Guerrero into putting him into the match. Because as I mentioned, Big Show had, Vickie Guerrero had cheated on Edge with Big Show. And John Cena somehow installed a camera in Vickie Guerrero's office, recording the whole thing. Creepy. He blackmailed her with that, then confessed his love for Vickie Guerrero, which was pointless. Vickie Guerrero gave in and put Cena in the match, and then Cena showed the fucking video of Big Show and Vickie Guerrero turn wrestling anyway. So, again, who are we supposed to cheer for? Who are we supposed to cheer for? Edge? The conniving, sniveling bastard who's using Vickie Guerrero to advance himself in the company, Big Show for being an adulterous giant, or John Cena for basically getting involved in the whole thing, exposing it just to get a world title match. Who was supposed to cheer for? So you add up all the lucrosity of that, added on to the fact that you have to follow Michaels and Taker, which is a 5-star match, and you basically get 3 people who you have no motivation to cheer for at all, and then you get a so-so triple threat match, which wasn't bad. I gave it a 3. But the only notable moment in that match is when Cena lifted both Big Show and Edge at the same time. That was it. And of course Cena wins because Cena wins. Lol. Cena wins, but Cena won and nobody cared. So I gave that a 3. And then we go to Triple H versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, which should have been a blood feud, which should have had a stipulation like Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy had, but it didn't. The stipulation was if Triple H got disqualified, Orton loses the WWE title. So you mean to tell me you have a blood feud built in with Triple H and Randy Orton, which I will go over. As I talked about earlier in the video, I talked about the Royal Rumble, how Randy Orton eliminated Triple H to win the Royal Rumble. Orton's whole kick at this time was destroying the McMahon family. So he would kick Vince in the head on the go home Raw to WrestleMania, or to Royal Rumble. He'd kick Vince in the head. Then at No Way Out, he would defeat Shane McMahon. Then after No Way Out, the Raw after that, he would punch Shane McMahon in the head. And then he would RKO Stephanie McMahon. Also, on a couple of Raws after that, he would DDT Stephanie McMahon and kiss Stephanie McMahon while Triple H is handcuffed to the ropes. Watching this. Like a PG cuckold porn, basically, is what it was. It was very uncomfortable to watch, by the way. So then we get to WrestleMania. Well, okay, back up. After the DDT and then the kiss, it's revealed the next episode on Raw that if Triple H gets disqualified, Orton will automatically win the championship. So that cuts the balls off from this match right there. And like I said, Orton's kick is to destroy the McMahon family. So he takes out Vince, Shane, Stephanie. And the last piece of the puzzle is to not only take out Triple H, but take the WWE Championship away from Triple H, thus ending the McMahon family. This match should have been a blood feud. It was a blood feud. It was. Like fucking Triple H broke into Randy Orton's house and threw him through a window. So we go through all that build-up, and then we have to have a wrestling match to solve it? Add on to the fact that nothing was going to top Michaels and Taker. Add on to the fact that the fans didn't care about John Cena and Randy Orton, or John Cena, Big Show, and Edge. Add on to the fact that this is a 4-hour show and the fans are tired, and we have to sit through Randy Orton and Triple H wrestle for 23 minutes. It was a disaster. It wasn't a horrible match. I gave it a 2.5 because of what it should have been. It should have been a guts and blood and guts match, but it wasn't. Triple H used a sledgehammer when the referee was down. Orton hit a pedigree, and then he just won, and that was it. They tried to get some shock value at the beginning, where we had both men go for the finishing maneuvers at the start of the match. Like Orton hit an RKO real quick, then Triple H hit a pedigree. And that was done for shock. But then once you got over that, you had to sit through 20 minutes of a standard wrestling match, which should have been a blood and guts match, but it wasn't. So I gave that a 2.5. Go over the ratings one more time. Money in the Bank got 3.2. Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal got a 1. Jericho Legends got a 3.3. Matt Jeff got 3.5. Mysterio JBL got a 1.5. Taker and Shawn got a 5. Fight me. Cena, Big Show, and Edge got a 3. Triple H and Orton got a 2.5. So there you go. Now it averages out to a 2.875. I just gave it a 2.9 to round up. Now with the 2 world title matches with Cena, Show, and Edge, and Triple H and Orton, It's not entirely their fault. It's just that and it's not that the matches were bad. It's just they were in the shadow of Triple H and Shawn, or with Shawn and Undertaker, and there was just no following that. And that's why both those world title matches suffered. They would learn their lesson next year at WrestleMania 26, where they would have Michaels and Taker close the show. Now, interesting trivia. Or not, I don't know if I want to call it trivia, but just something to point out about this, and then I'm going to wrap this video up. Usually, it's like an unwritten rule that the two final men in the Royal Rumble. Now, this is during the age where we had two world titles. The two final men in the Royal Rumble usually are in main event matches at WrestleMania. The case is the same with Shinsuke this year and Roman Reigns. Shinsuke is the winner is going to face AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns is going to face Brock Lesnar. But this was like the formula that they used ever since I could remember, since we had two world titles. You look at WrestleMania 20. You had, well, no, that's not a good example because Big Show was an opening match. But Cena and Batista in 05. They were the last two in the Royal Rumble. Cena faced JBL for the WWE title. Batista faced Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Both were in title matches. WrestleMania 22, Royal Rumble 06. Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton were the last two in the ring. Those two were in the same match against Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight title. Also, Triple H was the final three. He was in the title match at WrestleMania. 07, Michaels and Taker, last two. Those two fought for their world titles at WrestleMania. Their shows, world titles at WrestleMania. Triple H and John Cena, Royal Rumble 08. Those two were in the same match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania 24. This year was especially crazy because Triple H and Orton were the final two men in the Royal Rumble. Triple H would win the title at No Way Out, and Randy Orton would be the challenger at WrestleMania. So I think that's the only time that shit's happened that I can think of. And as I mentioned, Triple H would end up winning. And that's basically Royal Rumble 09 and WrestleMania 25. Those are those two shows. Yeah. Both shows were, if you average both shows together, they're pretty much average. So, those are my review of those two shows. And you guys have a wonderful day.